Hey, I'm Danielle, and today we are talking about what to do if you don't like your job. First off, I totally get it if you have just hit that point where you really know it's just not a fit anymore, or maybe you hate it with a burning passion, or you just know that there's so much more in store for you. My first job out of college, I was working in corporate communications, and I went from finding it really interesting and enjoying it right off the bat to ultimately really hating it and just knowing it wasn't a fit. Early on, I was getting new projects, it was exciting, I was meeting new people, I was getting the chance to travel across the US, and I found it really interesting and I was learning a bunch, but ultimately I hit this point where I knew a corporate environment was not for me, and these things were just hitting me in the face that it was just not a fit. And I just remember scrolling on LinkedIn and just hoping that one of the opportunities on the job board there would be a fit, and just imagining all these different possibilities with so much frustration every day when I was going into work. Honestly, the more time went on there, the more frustrated I got. I remember crying when I got into my car when I was leaving for the day, or just wondering what I was meant to do in my life and just feeling like I had no idea what the answer was. And ultimately, I had to make a plan, and I ended up moving into a job role that was much more suited for what I felt like was my personal mission and what really fit my skill set and my interests, and that was mentoring high school students, helping them get into college, which was really my dream job at that time. But I know in between point A and point B, there was a lot of frustration, so I have a few tips that you can use if you are in that position of just not liking your job and not knowing what to do. And you might even be questioning it. You might be at that stage where you're wondering, is this for me? And just having doubts and not knowing, should I quit? Should I stick with it? Or should I figure out some other plan? But I will tell you, step one is to honestly evaluate the situation. The thing is, you need to ask yourself, are there changes I can make within my specific situation that would change how I feel about this? That might be moving to a different role within that company if there's the opportunity to do so, or it might be thinking about how you're showing up. Sometimes we don't like our jobs because we don't like our life. So even what you're doing in your habits that surround your workday, that might be affecting how you're feeling in your job. So do some journaling and really ask yourself, is it the job and the actual activities and the day-to-day routine in my work life that I don't like? Or is it how I'm showing up mentally and emotionally? And ask, could it possibly be the job role itself that needs a little shifting? So if you figure out something there, then definitely check it out. If you are considering a different role and you know there might be that opportunity on your team, talk to your boss about it. You kind of know what those steps might be. If it's your habits, rework those. But if you've really hit that point where you know you need to make the leap, you need to get out of this job, the next step is to evaluate your risk level. You need to figure out if you're the kind of person that when you burn your boats, when you let go of any option of plan B, you really thrive in that sink or swim. I'm using a lot of metaphors here. You need to figure out, are you the kind of person that thrives in that high risk environment? Or there's nothing wrong with it if you truly know you're the person that likes that slow and steady plan in action. I kind of consider myself a little bit risk averse when it comes to just changing my life around. So I kind of like that second slow and steady sort of path. So if you know that you're that high risk, go for it, sink or swim type of person, maybe you really need to just quit this job and go all in on selecting another role, interviewing for that next opportunity. Or if you are that slow and steady person, maybe you give yourself the next 6 months to explore and do informational interviews and learn what's out there and apply to jobs, and then make that slow and steady leap instead. And once you do all that, the third step is to make a decision. Limbo is hell. We all know when we're just spinning around in our heads of, should I do this? Should I do that? Should I really stick this out? Should I leave? You need to make a decision. If you know that you're that slow and steady person, you need to actually commit to a timeline. If you're that take a leap kind of person, you need to commit to that leap. So either way, no matter what you're gonna do, once you understand what that right step is for you, or at least have your most educated guess, commit to it. Write it down in pretty pens and make it a priority. This is one of those things that's common sense, but we don't do it because we're scared. So take that goal, put it in your face, and actually break it down into steps and then complete those steps. super logical, but you know, we hesitate, we make excuses. So just know that that's part of it and catch yourself in those moments where you're making excuses and drawing it out. And once you do that honest evaluation of your current situation, you assess your risk level and you really just make a decision, make a goal and go for it, you're on the right track. From there on out, you really just want to make sure that you have support around you, friends who are going to cheer you on when you're, doing your research and applying for jobs. And if you're wondering how to stay content in a job that you really don't like while you're on that job search, my best suggestion for that is focusing on the skills you can build in the meantime. So if you realize that this type of job role doesn't work for me, but that kind of job role is more up my alley, is there any sort of like similar tie-ins there where you can still be building those skills or taking on relevant projects that will actually help you get to that next step as you're applying for those new roles? So I hope that helps. As I said, I've been there when I'm just hating my job and knowing it's not a right fit and figuring out what the heck am I gonna do with my life. It's a big question, but there are plenty of other people out there who are also figuring it out, and it's important to remember that. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like hearing about career development and personal growth, please click subscribe and you will get plenty more videos about that stuff. And I hope you have a great day. Bye.